Hello and welcome to the Inner Game of Entrepreneurship podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and today we are going to talk about answering the wrong question and why that may be keeping you stuck. So here's my little setup. Yesterday, I asked a question on Instagram and I said, if you could wave a magic wand and solve one problem in your business, you could just wake up tomorrow and the problem would be solved. What would it be? And I got answers, and it was so interesting. So before I tell you about the answers I got, if you're listening to this, I want you to answer this problem. You can write down your answer real quick. If you're driving, don't do that. Just think the answer in your head. If you could wave a magic wand and solve one problem in your business, what would it be? And just notice what's the answer that comes up. Now, here's what's interesting. Look at your answer and tell me, did you name a problem that needs solving? Or did you write down the desired outcome that you are wanting? Because every single person in the comments did not name a problem. They named the outcome they want. So some examples were consistent high ticket clients. I would have all of the contacts that I have interacted with over all the years of my business in one email list. All my systems would be done. There's a person who would be gone. All of those are outcomes, not problems. And I got so excited because this is why it matters to have a coach. First of all, these are not the answers to the question I asked. They're just straight up not the answer. I said, what problem would you solve? You told me what outcome you wanted. When you're alone, your brain doesn't always catch stuff like that. You think you answered the question, and so you just move on with your day. But by accepting an inaccurate answer, you have glossed over the opportunity for growth that you're actually looking for. This is why I'm not worried that AI is going to take my job, because chat is not going to ask you the right questions. Y'all, most people won't ask you the right questions. Coaching is not a made up thing. I get on this a lot because a lot of people out here have no training in the art and the science of coaching, and they call themselves coaches. They are actually consultants or they're teachers. They can only teach you what they have done that worked for them, or they can recycle the things that they've learned. But coaching is the art and the science of asking probative questions and continuing to ask those questions until we get down to the point that readiness potential gets activated, and hearing for the question in the answer, the question underneath, the thread that needs to be pulled to get you all the way into the heart of the thing. That's where you need a coach. That's where you need thought partnership, because your best thinking has gotten you to where you are right now. Your best thinking might be great, but if you're not at the goal that you're trying to get to, and your best thinking can't get you there, that's when you need a thought partner. And when you have a thought partner, that's different than a sounding board. It's different than just a friend, and it's different than an AI who's probably just going to agree with you and hype you up, because that's what it's programmed to do. You need to have a thought partner whose best thinking is, I hate to say better than yours, right? But different than yours, and able to elicit a better quality of thinking out of you, right? AI is not going to do that for you. Your friends aren't going to do that for you. Peers who are at the same level as you may not be able to do that for you. An untrained coach ain't going to be able to do that for you. And that is why I'm not afraid of AI taking my job. Okay, that was a side little bar, but y'all know I have ADHD, so I'm going to do what I can. So this is, first of all, just like I always have to name the systemic reason why we got here, right? The fact that every single person answered the question the same way is really telling. I ask, what problem do you need to solve? You tell me the outcome you want. You think that stating the outcome is identifying the problem, right? The problem is I don't have consistent clients. That feels like you're naming the problem. It's actually just naming the absence of what you want. And the thing is that most people don't have a framework for problem identification because we are not taught to think this way. In fact, we're actively taught not to. Our entire education model in the United States, right, the industrial education model, is designed to produce employees, followers, not leaders. It is designed to produce employees, not entrepreneurs. So our entire life, right, and we don't think about this enough, we were raised in a school system based on a Prussian model that is designed to create factory workers and soldiers. They hand us problems, we solve them. For exactly 1 hour, a bell rings, we stand up, we line up, we go to a different place, we're handed a different task, we focus on just that task. We're not supposed to ask too many questions. We're not supposed to probe into the premise of the problem. We're not supposed to ask why we're solving the problem. They hand us the problem, we solve it. If there's a problem, I'll solve it. The vanilla ice model of education. So our whole lives, we've been being handed problems and told to solve them. They give us the problem, we solve it. There's only one right way to solve it that they're looking for. You are rewarded for solving it the way you're told to solve it, not getting creative. In a job, it's the same thing. Your boss tells you the problem and the solution and how to execute the solution, and you just show up and you execute that. You've been rewarded your whole life for being good at solving problems that other people give you in one rote way. Now you're an entrepreneur. Now you're a CEO. You have to identify your own problems, but you've never been taught to do that. Most of our educational experience trained us out of this skill. This is the difference between convergent and divergent thinking. School teaches us convergent thinking. There is one right answer. Entrepreneurship requires divergent thinking. There are multiple possible answers, identifying root causes, creative problem solving. Problem identification is a CEO level leadership skill. And most of us have not been trained to be CEOs. We've been trained to be good at doing what we're told. So many of us walk around like employees in our own business. We're like kids trying to copy off of someone else's paper. We don't know what the problem is. We don't know why this is the answer. We're just like, oh, so-and-so said this is the answer. I'm going to copy it, turn it in, and hope for an A. We are desperate for someone to just come tell us the answer, but we don't even actually know the question because we haven't taken the time to identify it. We don't know what we are solving for. As CEO, it is your job to identify the problem first. No one is going to hand you the problem clearly defined. You've got to figure that out. Or you need to get into the presence of someone who can help you diagnose the problem accurately. So when someone says, "What's the problem?" your brain doesn't even know how to operate in that mode. You jump straight to what you want because that's the framework that you have. I want and I don't have. You don't have a framework to assess what specifically is preventing me from having this outcome. What is the actual malfunction in this system? Like, you could learn 100 recipes. You could make 100 different versions of pasta puttanesca. But if you've never learned what the flavor profile of the dish is supposed to be, so that you, without a recipe, just by using your taste buds, can diagnose what went wrong when the dish didn't turn out right. You're like, oh, it's supposed to be citrusy and I don't taste citrus. It's supposed to have a little brine to it. I don't taste brine. It's missing a saltiness, right? There's something missing and I can taste what that is. I don't need a recipe to tell me what it is. I know what I'm looking for, so I can tell when something's missing. So if you don't know how to diagnose when the dish didn't turn out right, you're just going to keep trying new recipes over and over, hoping that one of them is right. But you don't actually know what the problem is. Another thing may be that the problem feels too big or too amorphous to even name. So you just skip to the outcome because that feels clearer. You know what the outcome is. The outcome is I want more clients. Well, what's the problem? I don't know. No one has asked you to go deeper. And this is really important for my people who stay in learning mode. If you've been taking courses, group programs, DIYing everything, and you don't have a highly skilled coach who's there with you to pressure test how you're processing information, how you're thinking, they're not coaching you, the CEO, on the way that you think. If you have a less skilled coach, or you're just talking to your friends or people who are at the same level, or people who don't have businesses or chat, people are going to accept your surface level answer because you don't have someone digging deeper into your responses. So I ask you, what's the one problem that you want to solve in your business? And you tell me the outcome that you want. My follow-up question is going to be, did you notice that I asked you what the problem was and you didn't answer? What's the one problem you would solve that would get you to that outcome? What's the one thing standing between you and what you want? That's where you get diagnostic. That's where your CEO leadership brain comes online. Consistent high ticket clients isn't a problem. That's what you want. So what's the one thing standing between you and consistent high ticket clients? And if it's not just one problem, then what's the one thing that if you address that first, it would get you maybe 50% of the way there, 30% of the way there? What's the Pareto principle? 20% of your effort is accounting for 80% of your success. What's the 20%? What's the one thing that if you solved this, it could account for 80% of the way towards solving that problem? Not 17 different things you could fix, not trying to overhaul the whole world. What's the one problem, the one main bottleneck, the one key linchpin that if you focused on this one thing, if you pulled this one thread, it could get you closer to that outcome? You've got to be able to get specific, CEO. So let's think about it. Is it a top of funnel problem, right? The problem is I don't have enough consistent high ticket clients. Okay, what's standing between you and that? Is it a top of funnel problem? You don't have enough qualified leads coming into your sales ecosystem. Because if that's the number one problem, now you can address the actual thing. Now you know what work to do. I have a lead generation problem. That is what's standing between me and more consistent high ticket clients. It's a pipeline of continual qualified leads. That's the problem. So now I know what work to do. But what if you're getting qualified leads, but your close rate on your sales calls is like 10%? Close rate sucks. That's a totally different problem. Now what we're looking at is you need sales training. So by identifying what the real problem is, now you have a direction. Now you have a focus. You're not just scattered out there being like, I don't know, I need clients. Okay, well, what's stopping you from having them? That's your job as CEO. Pinpoint the problem. Another example someone gave, I want all my contacts to be in one email list. Okay, what's the one problem standing between you and having that right now? Is it that you just haven't selected an email platform? That's a tech issue. Is it that you haven't made time to sit down and go through all of the places you've collected contacts and assembled them? Right? That's a scheduling and focus issue. But is it that you feel weird about emailing people and you're telling yourself that those people don't want to hear from you and it's been too long since they've heard from you? And if you email them now, they're going to think you're weird and you feel embarrassed and you're uncomfortable reaching out to people, because that is an entirely different problem. That's an inner operating system problem. That has to be addressed in a completely different way. So until you solve that problem, if you're just shaming, blaming, pressuring yourself for why haven't you made the time to sit down and go through all the contacts, Why haven't I made the time to select an email provider? You're focusing on it like it's a practical issue or a tech issue, but it's not. It's an emotional issue. It's a nervous system issue. It's a mindset issue. We have to address the correct problem so that we can make way for the next step. You feel me? Somebody said, I want someone to be gone. Now, what I heard in that is, it sounds like potentially this person has to fire someone. So what's the problem there? Is it that you are making yourself responsible for that person's boundaries and that person's outcomes? You're like, oh, I know they're going through a really hard time right now, and I don't want to do that to them. Is it that you feel guilty? Is it that you literally just do not know what to say and want a script for how to let this person go? Is it that you're worried about this person retaliating if you let them go? All of these problems need to be addressed in a different way. Until you can pinpoint what the real problem is that is standing between you and the outcome that you want, you're going to stay in this blocked place where you know what you want, but you're just throwing darts blindfolded trying to get there. You're never asking or being asked the real targeted question that could allow you to make progress toward your goal. It is very easy, as I was talking about this convergent versus divergent thinking, when someone asks you the problem and you say, here's the outcome that I want. And they say, yeah, but what's the problem? And you're like, oh, I don't know. And you might genuinely be thinking, I don't know. I have no idea what the problem is. So this is a trap. I don't know is a trap. There's two ways out of the I don't know trap. Because people can stay stuck in I don't know for years. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about this. So I'm just spinning my wheels, trying surface level things, randomly grabbing at courses and strategies that promise you the outcome, but never addressing what you personally need. You're buying a course that promises that it's going to get you to this outcome, but that person's solution may not be the solution to your problem, right? Back on that example of wanting wanting consistent high ticket clients. If you go into a program that promises you, if you do our program, we're going to get you consistent high ticket clients, but not consistent high ticket problems. We don't want that. Consistent high ticket clients. But when you get in there, what they're teaching you is a follower growth strategy for Instagram. And their thesis is if you have more followers, you're going to have more clients. But you have a sales call problem, then you just bought a solution to someone else's problem. It's not going to get you anywhere, right? Buying a course that promises that it's going to improve your close rate isn't going to help if what you have is a nervous system or emotional problem. So you're in the I don't know trap. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know how to solve it. There's two possibilities. One is that you do know, you just don't want to take on the responsibility of what you know. And this happens a lot, right? When we know we have to fire someone, we're like, I don't know what to do, but we do know what we have to do. We just don't like it. We don't want to be the person who has to fire someone. Or we do know that the solution to this problem is I need to make time to sit down and go through all of my contacts everywhere and gather them all up. And I just don't want to do that. So I'm saying I don't know what to do because I don't want to now be responsible for doing it. So we can stay stuck in I don't know for years, just spinning our wheels, not getting anywhere because we say, I don't know. So if you do know and you just don't want to face it, we need some support for willingness. How do I become willing to face this? How do I become willing to take on this responsibility? I need capacity support. I need nervous system support. I need identity support. I need emotional support. I need mindset support. I need inner operating system support that's designed to help me face this thing I know that I'm wishing was not true. The other possibility is that you genuinely do not know. And that is important information too. I'm going to give an example. My car. I don't know nothing about cars. So if my car is making a noise, I can open it up and look under the hood and be like, yep, those are car parts. Something's making a noise. I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what any of these gadgets in here do. I don't know how they fit together. I don't know what their interaction is inside. I just do not know what I'm looking at. It is all completely foreign to me. So if my car's making a noise and I, as someone completely uneducated about car mechanics, goes online and I search for, why is my car making this noise? And I get 16 different answers. And one of them is like, it's your carburetor. And that's the cheapest answer. And I like the look of the person who's telling me. I go, that's it. Carburetor problem. And I buy a carburetor. Don't know how to install it. But what if I actually have a starter issue? Those are car parts, right? I'm just saying words. I don't even fucking know. I genuinely don't know. So what do you do in that case where you know you are completely uneducated? You cannot diagnose the problem. You go get an expert. I take my car to a mechanic. Is that scary? Until you have a good mechanic that you trust. Yes. Yes, it's scary because you don't really fully know. You're going on trust that this person, that they know what they're doing, that they're going to be able to get you to the solution, that they're not just ripping you off. We all go through being afraid to hire an expert in an area where we do not know how to assess the problem. That is scary. And I just want to acknowledge that it's scary because this is the thing that keeps people buying courses instead of investing in a coach. Instead of getting with someone who is a high level advisor, mentor, thought partner who can interrogate your thinking and coach you, the person, versus just teaching you random skills. This is what the course industry preys on. It's your lack of CEO thinking because they're selling you a solution. They're promising you an outcome that they know you want. You want high ticket clients. The course is promising, do our thing. You're going to get high ticket clients. But if you don't know what your unique problem is, their solution may not be the solution to your problem. So you just keep going around buying solutions, but you don't know the problem. So if you don't know the problem, your job as CEO is to go find someone who does know. It's to get the outside eyes, to go hire the mechanic, the person who's capable of looking under the hood and helping you accurately assess where is the system breaking down? What exactly is stopping us right now? And this is the thing we're going to focus on. This is the place we're going to go. We're not going to try to solve everything at once. We're not going to gut the inside of the car and replace every part. We're going to replace the one part that needs replacing. We're going to test this one theory. So not knowing is not a place to stay stuck. It is a signal that you need outside perspective, expertise, or support. You don't get to live in I don't know forever and call yourself a leader. If you don't know, go find somebody who knows and get the answer. That's your job. You're in charge. You're the boss. Love you so much. So if you notice when I asked you this question at the beginning that you did the same thing, I said, what's one problem in your business that if you could wave a magic wand and have this problem solved, which problem would it be? And what your brain gave you back was the outcome that you want. Then here's your process. Assess what you think the number one problem is that's stopping you from having the thing you want. Address that problem thoroughly. That problem and that problem alone. Address it. Test the solution and see if that was the answer. If you get new results, right? So going back to my original example, you want high ticket clients. You assess that you have a lead generation problem. You have a top of funnel problem. There are not enough qualified leads coming into my sales ecosystem. How am I going to solve that? Maybe you decide the way that you're going to solve that is you're going to build an ads funnel that is designed to bring qualified leads into your sales ecosystem and get them to book a sales call with you. You create that, you test it, and you see if it was the answer. And if you get new results, right, you start getting 3 new clients a month coming through your lead generation system and closing, then there you go. That was the problem and you solved it. If you get a slight improvement, great. It gets you part of the way there. Fantastic. Now, reassess. What's the next problem to solve? Now maybe we're at the close rate problem. We're like, oh, the problem isn't my leads, it's my closing. Now let's do some sales training, right? If the solution you try If the problem that you assessed, let me say it that way, if the problem that you assessed turns out to not be the only problem or the number one problem that needed to be solved, now we look again. What's the next number one problem that can be solved? Okay, we solved the lead gen problem. Now we have a closing problem. We work on the closing problem. What's the next problem that needs to be solved? And you go on, so on until it's solved, and you can look at what's the next goal. You are not meant to live in the same lack, the same state of wanting in your business or your life for years and years. I'm going to say it again. You are not meant to live in the same state of lack and wanting in your business or your life for years and years. If you've been saying, I want a booked out client roster for years and years, and you don't have it, there is a really good chance that you're not asking yourself the right questions. You're not getting in the right rooms. You're not allowing yourself to push the edges that need to be pushed. You're not letting yourself get diagnostic about what the actual problem is and going straight to fixing it. When you identify that something you're trying is not getting you where you want to go, the more direct, the more tactical, and the more strategic you can get in the questions you are asking yourself or being asked, and the answers you're accepting from yourself, the more deep, the more specific you can get, the faster you're going to get to your goals. Specificity is the key here. I want to have all of my clients on one email list. Great. What specifically is holding you back from doing that? The more specific you can be with the answer to that question, the easier it's going to be for you to figure out exactly what you need to be working on so that you can get that thing accomplished, check it off your list, and move on. Will there be another problem after that? Absolutely. That's just what business is. It is consistent high-level problems. They just get more and more high level. That's a good thing to deal with. That's a good problem to have. This, again, is why I advocate for having a good coach, not just buying courses when you're alone with the information, because you still have to process the information. Not necessarily always being in like a group coaching program where you're actually just learning someone else's system, but you having a good coach, being in a really high level mastermind with people who are at your level and higher, being with a really good coach who is trained in asking you the right questions and not accepting your surface level answers, someone who can catch you in your thinking and spot the things you're missing. So, for those of you who are watching live on Instagram and those of you who are following along on the podcast, this is your task from me. Let me be your coach today. If, when I asked if you could wave a magic wand and have one problem solved in your business, the answer that your brain gave you was the outcome you want, I want you to sit down today and try to get as diagnostic as possible about what the actual problem is that is stopping you from having that thing. The one thing that if you solved that, it would get you really close to having the thing you're missing. That's going to tell you what to be focused on and what you should be working on. And if you're like, girl, I do not know. I don't know what I'm looking at. The car is open. I'm looking under the hood. This is all a mess of wires and parts and I do not know what it is. You book me and I help you. So if you would like to talk with me about helping you figure out what the problem is, there are a handful of ways we can do that. You can DM me, you can message me, you can just be like, I actually really don't know what my problem is, and we can discuss ways that I could help you figure that out. If you're on Instagram, you can DM me at Intuitive Edge Coaching. If you're following along on the podcast, you can shoot me an email, intuitiveedgecoaching@gmail.com, and just let me know. I have no idea what my problem is, so I don't know how to solve it, and I will help you brainstorm some ways that we could do that together. Or if you solve it on your own, Fantastic. I'm so excited for you. Let me know how that works out. I would love to hear your feedback about this in the comments. Please let me know if this was helpful for you. Okay, love you. Bye.
That's our episode for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. I know there are so many things that you could be doing with your day, so many things you could be listening to, and it means so much that you are here in this community. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment, share it on social media, and tag me at Intuitive Edge Coaching. Share it with a biz bestie who you think needs to hear it and will appreciate it. And take a moment to to subscribe, and to leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening. It helps me grow this show, and it helps us grow and sustain this brilliant community of entrepreneurs dedicated to doing the inner work. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, love you. Bye.